Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the new player starter guide. So at this point I'm going to assume you've been playing the game for maybe a day or two, and you're probably about somewhere into chapter 5, maybe even into chapter 6. At this point I want to go back, and you've probably unlocked a whole bunch of things, so we're going to cover those real quick, and then we're going to go down the list of important things to do. So at this point in the game you've pretty much opened up a lot of the things that the game has to offer as far as repeatable missions, dailies, etc., etc. So from here on out, it's going to be a lot of like log in, do your dailies, rinse and repeat. We'll get into some of the more like one-time only events and unlocks. When we come to campaign here, you'll see there's still a couple more things that you haven't unlocked. They unlock around level 30. We'll probably cover that in the last and final video in this guide. We'll talk about endgame and kind of everything else that you need to do going forward for the last like little stretch of progression. But for this one, we're going to talk about everything from here to there. So let's start. We've unlocked a whole bunch of things. Let's start with the platoon system. So somewhere along level 20, you will have unlocked the platoon system. So platoon systems in this game are similar to guilds or, those types of like player run organizations. It doesn't really matter which one you join. The points on it are based. I'll have like kind of like a separate little section on this later on, but you do want to join one, and you do want to start working your way to get the tokens. In addition to that, there's a lot of other things you're going to want to kind of make sure you're doing as a daily basis. So I guess let's just probably the easiest way for me to explain this is just kind of go through like a checklist of what you want to do every day when you log in and complete your missions, because your main focus should still be doing chapter 5 and working your way through the main story, and everything else is just going to be kind of just filler content until you get all the way to max level, which in this game is commander level 60. So what I like to do is, this is the checklist I do. First thing I do is, I'm not in a platoon on this account yet, but I will be soon. Go through your platoon stuff. You have to do like a daily patrol mission. Sometimes there's a Gunsmoke frontline boss you can participate in. Lower level accounts can't participate in the Gunsmoke boss itself. You're just going to do like another patrol-esque style map where you just kill some enemies. Once again, super easy. You can borrow units for that. After that, we then go to the commissions tab. They've done a really good job in the recent updates of kind of smushing all the important stuff into here. So just make sure you do your dailies here. Make sure you're grabbing this every single day. This is a lot of experience that you'll be left on the table if you don't do it. Then after that, I also check dispatch room. So dispatch room here, this was explained in one of the tutorials, but this is where you send your units out to go gather resources for you. There's nothing special you have to do for this. You can auto assign units to here. The units that participate in these missions, they're not like taken out of your roster. It's just kind of like a little side thing that happens. It doesn't matter. They don't like disappear from the roster. You can still use them. It's, kind of just up to you who you want to assign to them. The eligibility list is here. You can, complete the assignments. Like I said, the tutorial explains all this, how you, have to do all these different things that enables them to be assigned. Do this because you're going to gather not so much. This is nice that you're getting, combat reports or whatever, but mostly you actually just want to get a lot of these little guys here, because these little guys will be spent in the shop. This resets on a weekly basis, and mostly you get some goodies in it, more tickets, and some just useful leveling materials overall. After you've done that, the next thing you want to do is make sure you hit the crew deck. In the crew deck, you just want to do two things. You want to make sure you do the cuisine at the beginning of the day and tea time as well. Both of those will unlock the recreation points up here, which as you progress down for a weekly basis here, you'll unlock all these different things. This is just another one of those like daily tasks that you want to do if you want like the breakdown of what everything does here. This is one of the few ways you can level the room, and one of the few ways you can get more of the silic that you need to buy furniture and stuff. Also, you get the all-important access permissions for the costume gacha, which I'm sure you guys were all introduced to, and if you were not, it's right here. Right now, it's the infamous Klukini that's on sale. This is a separate gacha system. It works Very similar to the normal character gacha. It's just that for this, it's for costumes. And you can see all the different things you can get. We'll kind of talk about some of this. For this, this is a very slow grind to get this stuff. You'll get one of these. If you play long enough, there's a very high chance you'll get one of these costumes, the Klukinis, I mean. But it takes a while. Since you only get one-ish ticket a week from the dailies here, and then you get another one from this shop here. You get another 2 per month. You will eventually accumulate enough tickets to do a decent amount of pulls. So you're not guaranteed, but you're pretty close to it. As long as we're looking at this shop, I should also make a quick mention of this. This is you won't have access to the other way to unlock this. So this unlocks the special drink for the bartender. So if we come to the bartender here, today it's Ro. It unlocks the special drink of the bartender. So in her case, it would be this special drink. You can unlock it one of 2 ways. You won't have access to these, the actual way to get these, which is Phase Clash. That unlocks at level 55. So just keep in mind, you can buy one of these per month. So, you know, if there's a character, then you really want to unlock their special drink. They all do different things. For example, Krolix here is just a juiced up version of the combat report one. So this is the normal one, gives you 95, but Krolix gives you 300. So anyway, get the drink, get a meal, do some of the recreational activities here. Make sure you hit 100 per day. Clear this out every week. Cool. Now we're done with the crew deck. After we've done that, I like to just hit the events tab here and just make sure there's nothing that needs to be done on a daily basis. For example, things like this. Gotta grab those. There's usually a lot of notifications that come through. And then after that, we kind of want to make sure that we're just not overcapping on our intelligence puzzles. And as usual, lots of different options here. So now we've unlocked some things since the last time. We've unlocked attachments. Now, attachments in this game work very simple. They just, if you read through the tutorial, it explains all this and how to like put them on the weapons and whatnot. But the short answer is you don't care about any of the attachments except the T4 ones or the gold ones. Those are the only ones you care about. All the other ones will get thrown away and disassembled. So as you're going through these and unlocking them, just only worry about the golds. Use the other ones in the meantime if they have the right stats. And don't worry about it too much. This is kind of a secondary thing. You can spend some of your intelligence puzzles on this. I would only do this just to get everyone at least a attachment because it's free stats. It doesn't really matter. Don't bother calibrating them for now. Don't bother trying to get the perfect stats on them. Just anything works. One thing I forgot to mention about the weapon attachments are the different set bonuses. The only set bonus that you care about is Face Strike. Face Strike works on every single character in about 99% of situations. It's the only one worth farming. Face Strike is king. All hail Face Strike. In addition to that, the only stats that you really care about are attack, attack percentage, and crit rate. And then for barrel attachments, you also care about crit damage. But those are the ones you aim for. If not, health is a good secondary stat. And with that, we'll go back to the rest of the guide. So that leaves you with one of 2 things you can spend your intelligence puzzles. And if you're kind of capped out on the campaign, right? Let's say you're waiting for the, kind of your dailies to reset to get more commander level to go to the next chapter. The 2 ones that I would suggest that you continuously spend your intelligence puzzles on are combat reports, because as we discussed earlier, in the short term, you will never have enough of these. The characters, the amount of combat reports they need to level up exponentially grows. So by the time you're in the 50-ish range, I don't even know if I can show it to you. Let me, fitting room here. I don't know if it'll let me show you. No, I can't go past, but just trust me, this number starts to get big. I want to say it's, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I'll put it on screen here if I can find it. I want to say it's like in the hundreds of thousands per character. I want to say 600,000, but that doesn't sound right. So, always can use those. The other one you're always going to need more of is Sardis Gold. You will never, ever have enough of this. So this is just explaining how the system works. Long story short, the better you do on the mission, the more you get. And when you hit auto battle, it always just generates the highest level you got. Once again, borrow a unit for this. You'll get legendary every single time, easy. But you will never have enough Sardis Gold. And I really do mean that. Later on, when you finally do hit max level and you're ready to calibrate items to get like perfect attachments for characters, it is not unheard of to spend $1 million or more calibrating the attachment just to get the stats like high rolls. And then it is also about another $1 million to $1.5 million to use the gold calibration chips, which we'll talk about those a little bit later. But those are the chips that you use to kind of make the item a perfect item. So you will literally need millions and millions of this Sardis Gold. And the more characters you need to make gear sets for, the more you're going to need. So it never hurts. If you're ever in doubt, like what should I farm? Sardis Gold. In addition to that, these, I would actually hold off on the materials for the Neural Helix, these transcription conductors. These can be merged into higher tier ones if we come to a little friendly diner gate mo here and we go to the storeroom. You can actually craft them and synthesize them into higher tiers. So this is like the low tier one. And it's always a 3-to-1 ratio. So it does get a little expensive to go like all the way from the bottom tier to the top tier, but these are not really a limiting factor. In the short term, they will be, and they're important for unlocking characters' stats, but don't worry too much about those. You can kind of farm them as needed. You don't need to stockpile just like tons and tons of them, and they're available for rewards from the next thing we're going to talk about. So we covered kind of the things you need to do on a daily basis. You know, you hit the platoon missions, make sure you do your dailies under commissions, check your events, and then, oh, I also forgot to mention, again, make sure you do the battle pass stuff, which this is, a lot of this will automatically be completed if you did the dailies, so you don't have to think too much about this, but this is a battle pass that is similar to in every other game ever. The top row is the free items, the bottom row is the paid for items if you unlock it. So you've done all that, and then obviously up here on the left are events that are going on. That leads us to limited time events. So as you're playing the game, there will be at least always one limited time event available. 2 actually. So Boundary Push, you will have unlocked this halfway through, I want to say chapter 3 or 4. I think it unlocks somewhere in there. Once again, do the tutorial for this. It explains how the mission works. All you need to know is that as you level up, you're going to unlock these slots. And these allow you to place units in them to auto-farm this mode for you. At max level, you'll have, I think it's, 12 slots or whatever. And you can auto-farm this in a couple days. You don't have to sit there and run around and collect all the boxes yourself. But it is a fun little game mode. You can get a lot of good materials. Like I said, this is one of the few ways you can get T4 attachments so early in the game, like guaranteed. So definitely worth doing. These chips, you can ignore them. They're garbage. These precision boost chips, we'll get into this in a different guide in the future, but all you need to know is don't worry about these. They're kind of trash. These are not the gold chips that I was talking about. But all these other materials are very useful. So do this if you can. These are reset on a weekly basis, so it's not really a rush to do it every single day, but just kind of want to make sure you do it before the end of the week. And then obviously as you level up, higher tiers will become available and you can get better rewards. I don't know if it shows you here. Yeah, but these rewards get better at higher tiers and you get more of them. So back to the events screen. The other thing you need to do every single day is there will be an event going on of some kind. Now, in our case, it's Deep Oblivion. This is a 2-part event. So you'll see this is half 1 that opened up a couple weeks ago, and then this is the other half that just opened up recently. In these double events, you get 3 tickets a day, and you can use them on the supply missions for either one. If it is a solo event, like let's say, for example, it was the previous one, Lena's, there's only one supply mission you can do, so there's no thinking. Just go ahead and do it. Make sure you don't overcap on those. You can hold up to 6 of these guys. Make sure you use these, and all you got to do is go to the mission, go to supply. You just auto battle your way through these. Once again, you can borrow units. It's super easy. As you can see, I've done them already. I borrowed my my other account's character. Just make sure you farm these every single day, because they will allow you to buy items from the shop here. And then these items are unique to every event. It's somewhat unique to every event. For example, the weapon skins are always different for every event, but a lot of these other things you'll see come up often. Now, if you do the event every single day and you're very diligent, you will have way more than enough of whatever the resource is. In this case, it's encrypted intel. You know, every event has a different one, but you'll have more than enough to buy out the shop completely, and then you'll actually have extras just to generate you more. These are unlimited, how many you can buy. So it's just free materials. So make sure you're doing it. But if you show up late to an event, like for example this account, what do you prioritize? So when it comes to stuff like this, I like to prioritize things you can't farm naturally. Now, I know what you're all looking. You're all looking at these three right here. Now, these are good, right? Especially if you don't have any characters and you kind of need some more tickets to gamble with. Overall, they're pretty cheap. The next most important thing to get out of this shop are the info cores and the gold chips. These are the target calibration chips. These are the ones that I was talking about. These are very important for maxing out here at the end game. But the reason that you even start grabbing them now is because they are very super rare. They only refresh on a weekly basis in some of the shops, and you're only going to get a trickle of them, maybe 1 or 2 every week. These things are literally like gold. They are very hard to get, and you need upwards of 60 to 70 of them to fully calibrate a set. So it is a long-term investment that takes a long time to accumulate enough of them, but it helps you kind of max out character gear and bring characters to their full potential. The other one that I mentioned here is the info cores. These are more of an immediate resource that you will need in the short term. These obviously are used to unlock hero helixes for characters. You'll have seen that if you did the little tutorial on that, but you will always be needing more of these. I've been playing the game for a year solid, and now, to be fair, I haven't really missed very many characters, so I'm, you know, a little like bloated as far as like how many characters need these, but even me, I don't have enough to unlock everything on every single character. So you will probably never have enough of these cores. So these 2 items, high priority. These, not so much. These are used to unlock the flower upgrades, which you will learn more about at level 55. We'll probably cover that in the 3rd and final guide for this series. You don't need to worry about these too much. To be honest, these are kind of ass too. A lot of these aren't that great. Don't worry about those. The other ones you could get after the info cores and the chips are just more generic universal keys here. These, you know, you probably won't have enough of them. And then the universal chain keys. These are a new resource that was added in the anniversary. And these allow you to upgrade these common keys to have better stats. So these are also relatively rare, but they're kind of useless if you don't have any keys already. So the rest of this stuff down here you can farm with normal intel, so it's kind of like not important. The special gifts and whatnot, these you're gonna have a lot of them. Like, so once again, I've been playing on my main account for a year pretty consistently, and I have literally thousands of gifts. You end up with way too many of these. In the short term, you never have enough because you're starting out, but then over time, you just accumulate them very quickly, and you really don't need any of this stuff down here. So priority is info cores and chips, then maybe the gambling materials. Like I said, collapse pieces is always nice. You could also turn this into more intel via the purchase function, and then the universal chain keys and the common keys here. Now, once again, keep in mind, for an event like this that has 2 halves, the store is separated. So this side here, which is the one we farmed and we got the resource for, that's only good for this shop. There's a whole nother second shop which has literally a whole nother set of those items, including different weapons. So balance your farming between the 2. Okay, before we move on to the final topic, I quickly want to just go over one last thing for the shop here. If we come to the trading post here, this is a summary of all the different things we've been talking about. I do want to point out a couple small things about this. Like I said, you can click through the menus. We'll explore all this. We already talked about event exchanges. This is once again, a shortcut to the Gacha costume shop. This is all just for funsies stuff. It doesn't really matter. You probably won't have a lot of these chips left over, or a lot of these coins left over to purchase things, so I wouldn't worry about what resets in the shop here. Save up for what you actually want. Furniture shop here. This one, once again, make sure you grab the outfit permissions. These are super rare. And then also you can grab the recipe. If you're, like I said, if you want to like unlock someone's recipe, you won't have access to do it any other way in the meantime. And then also maybe snatch up this info core if you can, because you'll probably need it. The rest of this stuff, not super important. These are unlocks for, you know, true deck stories, which don't really do anything. They just kind of add some lore. They don't unlock any gameplay or anything like that. Platoon shop, like I said, can't show you right now, but I will join a platoon later and we'll cover that in a different section. Platoon is important. You do want to do the daily mission for that, which will slowly accumulate you some coins, and we'll talk about the priority of what you need to get in that shop. The short answer is get the Svarog, the 5-star Svarog. Okay, I'm going to slice this into the video somewhere, so I apologize for the kind of abrupt transition. But I do want to talk about the Platoon system real quick. I've switched over to my main account here, and I understand your reluctance to interact with people on the internet, and especially the gacha game community as a whole. I totally get that, and being social, it's kind of gross, and it's taxing on your soul. But I really highly recommend you do it. Find a platoon, see if they'll let you join. If not, you can always apply to our platoon here. Oh god, he's shilling again. He's shilling for his platoon. You can join our platoon. We got spots. All we ask you to do is like actually show up and do the daily stuff. So when you get to the platoon, all you need to do every single day is come to the essential tasks here and do the daily patrol. This is super easy. You can borrow a unit from somebody in the platoon, so you'll wipe the floor with it. You don't have to think. It's great. You will get rewards, which will show up here in the supply. Now, as you can see, as they come available, you just claim them. You'll get some reputation points and gold or whatever. Mostly it's the reputation points we want to talk about. These are used to buy things in the shop. Now, when you're choosing a platoon, you usually want to choose a platoon that's high rank, because some of these things in the shop here are locked behind platoon rank. Now, our platoon is high enough rank, so they're all unlocked, and I've already bought them all out, but there are correct things you want to buy out. Once again, these are all one-time purchases under the exclusive tab here, and this is the weekly refresh. Absolutely buy out the targeting chip. Absolutely. No ifs, ands, or buts. The second thing you want to probably consider is maybe Papasha's. If you buy enough of these, you'll be able to unlock her as a character. She's not the strongest character. She's kind of just whatever, but you know, they reset on a weekly basis and you can slowly accumulate them over time. It takes a while to get enough of these to fully max her out. I want to say 4 to 6 months, I would say. So, but you're going to be doing the daily missions and using those reputation points to grab targeting chips and then whatever else out of the store. And then, as you're doing that, slowly accumulate enough to buy these Svarog. This is the big ticket item in the shop here. Like I said, these aren't going to go away. There's no time limit on when you can buy them, but you only get one of them. This is the big ticket item, and the reason for that is, I don't know if I can show it here. I cannot, but this is one of the best submachine guns in the game. It is a go-to submachine gun as the best in slot for anybody who doesn't have their signature one, their custom elite weapon. The reason is because this thing is just a huge stat block. It is a massive amount of attack rating and a pretty solid attack stat on it. It works on everybody. The special effect here is like not so great. This only works on some characters. The trait is highly desirable though, because defense ignore is always a powerful stat. So this weapon, get it. You don't have to get the instructions here. These are, or I guess it would be for gold, the 5-star one would be these ones, but you don't need to necessarily unlock these because these will just upgrade the calibration rank, which will just make this ability better. You don't need that. You just need to get the weapon itself. There's a 4-star version of it, but the 4-star version is nothing special. So, once again, join a platoon, suffer and mauled, be social, quietly. You don't have to say anything. You just quietly lurk in the back and soak up the rewards. And then just, like I said, over time, targeting chips, neural archives, universal chain keys, and the Svarog here. Also, if Gunsmoke Frontline is active, which this is active every 3 weeks, you, as a new player who's not level 60, will only be able to do the outpost battle. Once again, go ahead and do it. It's just a bunch of level 60 enemies. You can borrow some unit from your platoon and crush it really easily. More free points. You'll unlock some more supplies here. So do that. And that's it. That pretty much covers platoons. Like I said, if you want to join on platoon, there's an option here, but there's lots of platoons you can join, and everyone has, I highly doubt anyone will reject your application. So, okay, back to the rest of the guide. Same thing here. These are the resources you get from having people go on dispatch missions. The access permissions are really the only one you care about. The rest of it is, whatever. These are more gifts. You'll have too many of these in the future. This is another. We discussed this in my guide for the recruitment. If you were managed to sit through that entire long guide, we talked about all the different stuff for this, but these refresh on a monthly basis, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. You probably won't naturally accumulate enough of these to be buying multiple weapons in a month. The info cores here are also kind of not a good deal for how many tickets you need. Like, this is 3 access permissions. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it kind of is if you think about it in the long run. But these are if you're desperate. I would not get these. These are previous skins that were unlocked from, I think it was from the old PvP mode, which has been discontinued. Once again, just cosmetics, don't really matter. You can get them if you think they look cool. This is a little more interesting. This is the other token you get, or the other withdrawal receipt, the other currency that you get from getting like 3-star items. Once again, this resets on a monthly basis. There are correct answers. Once again, make sure you get the targeting chip, followed by the access permissions, and then usually this key here. You'll probably need more of these, and then I would just save them up for the next month. If you have an abundance of them, if you're like, especially in the early game, you're going to be getting these like crazy because you get such a huge influx of early game pulls and tickets. You can consider getting some of these like higher tier transcriptors and stuff, or conductors. This is, like I said, another decent way to get attachments, but it's totally random what you get, so that's, your mileage may vary. And then, yep, this is just the normal shop, so that covered a growth stack as well. Glory store, this is one other thing I wanted to cover. This you get for doing achievements. You'll see in the, like, when the mission ends in the top left, usually a little notification that said, oh, hey, you killed 1,000 enemies with corrosion damage or something. Those points that you will be accumulating can be spent in this store here. The only way to get these costumes, I don't know, can you preview them? Yeah, so the only way to get these costumes are in this shop. So if you want any of these costumes, these are a really good use of them. These are all one-time purchases. These tickets, once again, one-time purchases. But the priority would probably be the skins, weirdly enough, because these aren't going anywhere. So you can always come back and get these later. But like I said, the skins have no other way to get them. So, and obviously the more you play the game, you'll get a pretty good amount of the the metal, whatever it's called, the battle decorations. You'll get a pretty good amount of these, but not enough that you're just gonna be able to buy this shop out just in one go. You'll have to play for a decent amount of time. For example, on my main account, I've been able to purchase all of these costumes and then some of these, but I haven't like cleared out this section either. Once again, all just skins, just goofy skins. These, same thing. These are for placing in the dorm or in the crew deck. They're just fun. They increase your collection score, which is something, it doesn't do anything. It's just like a little fun little thing to measure. So after that, let's take a look at the last thing I want to talk about. So as we're going through the main story, we're also going to unlock past events here. Now, these are some of the campaign missions that were in the past events. These were the fun little exercises that kind of come up every now and then. Simulation exercise, inverse cipher. Inverse cipher, you take on the role of the enemies, and you get to control enemy units to do little puzzles. Both of these, when they were live, they gave a bunch of rewards. Now they're just here for, you know, if you want to go back and experience them, and you get a small amount of resources for clearing them. Nothing special. Story modes here, like I said, these are previous campaigns. These are just for if you want to experience the story. They have some collapse pieces in the rewards, but you won't have access to the shop that unlocked it. Like, you didn't even get the, I didn't even realize you could get the icons and stuff. And then you can also do the missions here, but you won't get any of the currency to buy out the shop. Same thing for here. So this is all just kind of reference if you want to catch up. Now, they're missing a bunch. They're not all here, and don't ask me when they're going to get added because I have no idea. You know, the devs just kind of, I don't know. They think they throw darts at a dartboard to figure out which ones get added here and what order. So, and like I said, we'll talk about the rest of the stuff when that comes through. Down here, this is the tutorial missions that kind of teach you how to play the game. You can also do this for some free stuff here in the bottom. Do those when you're bored. This doesn't unlock till later, but you can ignore this completely. This is just like a fun little like soccer ball game mode. It's a goofy little side game that doesn't really do anything. There's like an icon border reward for it. So, okay, I think we've covered pretty much everything we could possibly want to cover. We talked about like what you need to do on a daily basis, what you need to watch out for as far as like purchasing items from the limited shops. At this point, you're going to kind of do a lot of rinsing and repeating. You're just going to continue to power through the main story mission. It'll upgrade your commander level. As you upgrade the commander level, you'll go deeper into the story. That will unlock new things. And then in the final guide in this series, I'm going to cover all the stuff which hopefully, ideally, can be done at high level. I'm going to use this account to show you up till it'll probably be about level 40-ish. And then I'll use my main account to show you the last couple game modes, and we can kind of talk about those a little bit. But at this point, you said you're in maintenance mode. You're just going to log in, do your dailies, make sure you collect the things you need to collect, and just like I said, start raising your units. Keep an eye out for what units are coming in the recruitment. Now, I do want to point out, I haven't done any gambling on this account yet. Not a single pull has been done, and I've gotten all the way through chapter 5. So once again, you just really need to use the support system to borrow a very powerful unit. Like you can see, I don't have any characters at all. No one's leveled. But that'll let you get all the way through. So if you're like waiting on a character that's not out yet, you can like start saving early. The only things you'll need your own units for, we'll talk about in the third guide, which once again will be things like expansion drills, peak value, boss fights, etc. So with that, we're going to wrap this one up, and I will catch you guys in part 3. See ya, and have fun leveling in the meantime.